Joe Biden is leaving the scene the way he came in, as a total, complete, corrupt, depraved liar. Look, I hope he lives to be the age of 120 and dies peacefully, surrounded by family and friends, but that does not appear likely right now, given that, well, most of the experts and most people with common sense figure that this cancer thing is something he's been dealing with for a very, very long time and not telling the American people. That's been the theme of Joe Biden's life, really, his political life. No respect for the people, can get anything by them. And how about, for whatever reason, it's strange, it's bizarre, half the culture, our media apparatus, doing whatever it could to defend and support and look the other way, whether it's the health, whether it's the brain, whether it's the issues with the laptop. You know, Hunter, Joe Biden has never been asked directly about the Hunter Biden laptop. All the interviews he sat through, all the formal press conferences. Mr. President, the laptop has been verified by everybody. Care to comment? Something? How did he get away with it? Well, actually, he's not getting away with it. And eyes have been opened. Now, not around here. You and I, we've known this for a very, very long time, haven't we? So, did you see the statement? And yeah, I don't like it when anybody gets sick. Now, the statement itself that Joe Biden has cancer was, like Joe Biden, probably dishonest, bizarre, and weird. Let's go through it, huh? Here are the tells. Here are the things that experts are telling me, well, there's something wrong here. He's experiencing increasing urinary symptoms. All right, that might happen, but basically in the history of statements about politicians with cancer, they never, ever, ever go into this kind of detail. Why? It's almost like explaining too much too late. There's something up with that. He's had this for a long time, I do believe. Actually, I know he has, and I'll prove that in a moment. What else did this bizarre statement say? He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, characterized by a Gleason score of 9. Now, this isn't some note from one doctor to another doctor, everybody. This is an announcement to the world. Gleason score of 9. People I've talked to, PR people, doctors say, this is not part of what you put out, ever. Next, please. With metastasis to the bone. This is crazy advanced. It's metastasizing, it's growing already in his bones. They found it last week. This, again, can't be true. It cannot be true. And it's not like it's out of character for Joe Biden to not be truthful, as we all know. There's one more here. The cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. That's something else that the cancer experts tell us. You can't have determined that this close to the discovery of the cancerous nodule last week. It just doesn't work that way. So this is an excuse that has been basically in a can that they could pull out in case of an emergency. And after his performance a week ago or so on The View, remember that? That was his big comeback appearance. And he was going to be available to speak out against all the lies in the new book. No, this is all canceled. After he couldn't hold his own with Sonny Hostin, you kind of had to call it a day from public appearances. And that's a big disappointment for Jill because she's been driving this stuff, a lot of it. So, how do I know he's had cancer for a long time? Well, he told the world in July of 2022. Listen carefully. I've been listening to people. You've been listening to people. We know a gaffe. We know a slip of the tongue. He said it. He said it out loud.
It had to put on their windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
That's why I and so many other people I grew up with have cancer. Was that? No. And it's kind of like, it makes sense. Why couldn't he be straight with us? Because it's not in his DNA to be straight with anybody. So that dropped. This is not something I just saw on Twitter today. I was watching it on television when he said it. Like, hello? I think I have to talk about that tonight. Unlike anybody in the dominant media, and a big portion of the conservative media, strangely enough, They didn't want to go there. They just said, oh, the White House said that that was a faux pas. No, it wasn't.
Did you hear that? He has cancer. He said it out loud. One more time.
That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
Okay, this is interesting. I want to read the quote because I don't think this is a gaffe. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up with have cancer. Not had cancer, but have cancer. Now, he had a brain situation back in the 1980s. We're glad that worked out. But today is a different story. Cancer. Does he have cancer?
You know, maybe it's obnoxious to play highlight reels from my own show, but then again, I like to say you can get more truth in a few minutes of Newsmax than you can in a year, maybe even a decade of watching fake news. And it's true. And it was there for anyone to see. The lies, the corruption, going back decades, and certainly, man, for one moment I thought, boy, oh boy, if Joe says something like this, there's got to be some kernel of him, some little molecule that actually means it. January 20th, 2021, Inauguration Day.
Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this, bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation.
Wow, what a, maybe Joe could grow into the role, right? No, the horrific stuff about January 6th and getting Trump. It's one thing to go after your political enemy, Trump, right? But what about the American people? Half the country at the time was supporting Trump. Listen to what he said. In 2021, by the time Labor Day rolls around, this is what he thinks about unifying the country.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
So much for unifying the country, actually 2 years later. But, you know, it wasn't just Donald Trump. It was those who support him, me, you perhaps. And then Joe could, I think this is a lie that got him in trouble with God, actually. You can't say this and not mean it and not do it.
My fellow Americans, I close the day where I began, with the sacred oath. Before God and all of you, I give you my word. I will always level with you.
Well, we have hours and hours and hours of examples of him not leveling with us, of him lying to us and lying to, it doesn't matter, Democrats, Republicans. I mean, the man is a liar. And who could have thought? Who could have thought that he turned out to be a lying president when he was a lying presidential candidate all the way back in 1987? This is the first time I ever heard the name Joe Biden. I was in high school, and I'm like, this man must be insane. Watch.
What law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is, could you quickly, I think we all
I think I probably have a much higher IQ than you do, I suspect. I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. In the first year in law school, I decided I didn't want to be in law school and ended up in the bottom two-thirds of my class, and then decided I wanted to stay, went back to law school, and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I won the International Moot Court competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
I actually think we're about 4 chimes behind. You couldn't keep up with all the lies. Now there's, all right, he had to drop out of the race. You can't lie like that and continue. Interesting, though, he seemed to justify the lies in the moment, right? Oh, forget about these silly details. I've got more important things to worry about, and so do you.
It seems to me that when we got involved in the civil rights movement, Frank, nobody asked Martin Luther King what his legislative agenda was. He marched to change attitudes. When the women's movement started, it did not move with a constitutional amendment. They marched to change attitudes. And this party better understand full well that it's about time we change our attitude.
Oh, man, I feel your pain, madam. Look at her. Had to put up with that in person. Bad enough on TV. What a woman. I wonder where she is now. She had his number all those decades ago. How in the hell did this guy make it back? Back then, the media was pretty rotten too, but not like today. I mean, you know, when somebody gets caught lying like that, you have no choice. It must be documented. It must be reported, no matter what party the guy's in. Take a look.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
Nice guys in that. Mort Kondracki, I remember him and a couple of the others. I'm not a big Sam Donaldson fan, but they were kind of doing their job, right? So how do we get from that situation where now you have a laptop, it's Hunter Biden's, Joe Biden is all over the thing, and Joe Biden can be president of the United States in the presence, at least, of reporters every day and never be questioned about that in any serious way. Never in an interview. Nothing. And everybody knows it's legitimate. What happened to the media? What happened to our country? What happened to society? We're still trying to figure it out. It should not have gone down this way.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.